Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily color your webtoon. I'm working on another video right now that's taking much longer than I thought, so I'm going to have this one out before that other one to, keep having some type of video on my channel, Yeah, so here I'm going to show you how to color in 3 different ways. The first 2 ways take about 30 minutes from start to finish with all the effects and whatnot. And the last one takes 10 minutes, which is the quickest and easiest. So yeah, I'll just go through those and explain as, the video goes on, obviously. First, what you'll want to do is make a folder and then make flats of all your colors, like the clothes, the hair, and the skin, all of those. And what I do is I put each of them on different layers, like the clothing will all be on one layer, the skin will be on one layer, the hair will be on one layer, or they'll be in one folder that acts as one layer whenever you clip on top of it. But that's generally what I do. If you make your flats all in one, like all together, that's fine. The first method pertains to if you do that, but the other two, you need to have the hair, skin, and clothing on different layers to follow those. So yeah, just disclaimer, I put this one in there just in case, but yeah. When I fill in flats, I use the bucket tool, and there's a apply to all layers, so it'll apply to the line art and all that. That's what I did. I just clicked the bucket tool and just filled it. And I'm showing on screen right now what my settings are for the bucket tool. You may have to change the color margin and area scaling depending on what your line art is, but that's the settings I used for this particular image. After I finish with the bucket tool, I'll generally go back and make sure there's no white space or little blank pixels. I'll fill everything in, make sure there's no blank spaces. And for colors that are very light, I will generally put a darker color that I can see clearly, and then I'll clip on top of it the color I'm actually using, like for the skin tones or Ami's hair. It's a bit light, so I'll have to make like a dark purple or something and then clip the color that I'm actually going to use on top of that to make it easier on my eyes and, save time. Once the flats are done, I choose my light source and move on to shading. For shading, one tip that I've found that helps whenever I shade clothing is to shade in triangle shapes. Like the blank space, try and get it to be triangular, and then the shaded space, try and get it to be triangular. It looks a lot better than what I was trying previously, which was like folding it and molding it around and whatever. But yeah, the triangle method works really well. They're not like perfect triangles, but they're triangles. In this method, I'm treating the flats as one image where I have the folder closed and I'm clipping on top of it. So I'm just shading everything all together. The skin, the eyes, everything's going to be shaded on the same basic plane of existence. Here I'm just trying to shade everything simply and effectively, all that jazz. But I don't want to go too detailed because then that would take time away from doing other stuff, and I don't want it to be too under detailed because then it'll start to look flat just like the beginning. So you have to find that middle ground of just enough detail and where it still looks nice, because I still like to make my comics look very pretty and shiny and whatever. But you also don't want to go too detailed and too shiny because then it'll take you 15 hours to finish one panel, and by the end of it you'll be crying because all you have is one panel and you can't post one panel because all your readers will be like, what the heck, there's only one panel. I came here out of my day to read your comic for free and there's only one panel? How dare you? And then, you'll cry more. Anyway, back to coloring this panel. Right here what I'm doing for the skin is I'm having everything be purple, like the undertone or whatever, the one I started as, and then I'm clipping on top of it a pinkish or whatever tone for the shading to be on the skin, a little bit different than everything else so it stands out from the rest. And then I'm just going in and fixing the eyes to make them more light and whatever and all that stuff. Now for the eyes, it's pretty simple. You just use purple and then use multiply and then add some green, and then if you want to be fancy, put some up there and a little gradient, and yeah, your eyes are pretty much good and shiny and cute. Honestly, I probably spend most of my time on the eyes, but this is a quick method. Now for the hair highlights, I have a brush that I use, and then I'll, fix it, add the overlay, whatever, and blend it. Then here I'm just adding extra shading or any final touches that I think need to be added, like blushies and whatever. Then I multiply it because I intend on a dark background, add some leaf brush texture for some shading and extra sparkle, and then import the background for a stock image that Clip Studio gives you. If you don't have one, you can commission somebody or find them on the internet, make sure they're copyright or royalty free, or take your own pictures or make your own, whatever. Here I'm just adding the highlights, extra shinies to make sure it looks all pretty and ready to go. And yeah, that's pretty much all I'm doing. And next, I'm just blending out the leaves and adding more shiny. I really go overboard with the shiny, but dang it, I want it to look nice. So yeah, more gradients, more everything. I'm playing around with the background to make it more faded so it doesn't clash so much with the front image, because you never want your background to compete with your foreground, all that stuff. Changing the highlights to be a little more orange so it looks extra pretty. This is all just cosmetics. You don't really need to do all of this, but I like doing it. It takes a little bit of time, but in the end, it looks pretty cool. I think, I personally think it looks cool. I get compliments on it, and then I get other people being like, oh my gosh, it's so ugly, and then, I cry. Just kidding, just kidding. I say I cry far more times than I actually do. I really just sit there and be like, what is my life, for 10 minutes and go into existential crisis and all that stuff. No, not really that much crying involved. A lot of thinking about my choices. Yeah. Here I'm just doing speech bubbles. And if you didn't know, you can just have a circle, draw a circle, and then put a stroke around it, and it's a lot easier. And yeah, I just came up with some random text because I couldn't think of anything. And it's like, do you want ice cream or cake? And then Roman's a vampire, so why would he want either of those? And he doesn't even like sugar, so he's just like, why'd you ask me that? That's stupid. Moving on to the next method. I have my flats already done because you saw me do them, so I'm just gonna go based off that and shade the clothing basically the same way I did before, but not caring about the hair or the skin or anything else getting in the way, because I'm clipped to the clothing layer and nothing else in this file matters because I'm only clipped to that one layer. Any tips I have is just use the triangle method. They can be rounded triangles or pointed triangles, whatever. Triangle method. Then multiply to make it darker and blend it out with the blending tool. And for the eyeballs, basically the same exact thing that I did before with gradient and highlights, but I don't have to worry about getting outside the lines because, as I said before, clipping. I discovered clipping far too late into my drawing career, and if I had known about it before, so many things would have been done so much faster. But yeah, clipping saves a whole bunch of time. And look, you can clip layers to folders, so then that saves even more time because you can have separate layers in folders, and yeah. It works very well for someone like me who likes using a whole bunch of layers and have been called out on my use of many layers, but I don't care. If I can use 500 layers, dang it, I'm gonna use 500 layers. Is this bad advice? Am I giving bad advice? I'm sure it's fine. Use however many layers your computer can handle. Because, I didn't do that and I've burnt 2 of them. I've burnt 2 computers. That's something I can put on my resume. I will burn your computer, and I won't even do it on purpose. I'm serious. My first laptop that I had for 10 years literally caught on fire, and I didn't know. It was having some issues because the light was flashing or something. So I took it to get taken care of at a computer shop or whatever, and he opened it up, and it had smoke damage all over it, and I was just like, oh, I wonder if that's why the fire alarm went off that one time. It probably was. It was probably my fault. I just didn't know. Shame on me. Back to coloring. If you need any explanation for what I'm doing, I'm literally just clipping a layer on top of the hair, skin, or clothing, choosing a color, and then shading, and not worrying about lines or anything. And then once I finish shading, I take the blend tool, and then I just dab it over it, whenever you dab makeup. And yeah, that's all I do. It's not that complicated. And for this part, I'm just adding some extra shading to make it look a bit more polished, as you could say, and I'll add light, like a white highlight to, accentuate certain parts and make the lips shiny, the nose shiny, all that stuff. And in a bit, I'll add blushies to Ami, so she'll be all blushy and cute. There it is. Yeah, so she'll just be extra cute. And then for the eyeballs, just add some shading on there to make the color of the eyeballs pop out. This is all, the cosmetics that I was speaking before. You don't have to do them. They just make the artwork look shinier and more polished. After that, we can move on to the more cosmetics of adding the multiply layer to make the image darker, and then add the leaf texture, blur it at certain aspects so it's not as harsh, or blend tool is what I use. When I say blur, I'm always using the blend tool because it's my favorite. And for the lighting, I'm just adding, different textures and gradients, all that kind of stuff. It's all the cosmetic stuff I was speaking of previously. You don't have to do it, but I think it looks nice, and I'm just showing you how I make my comics look the way they do while not spending forever on them. Once the atmospheric elements have been added with the gradients from the lighting, from reflective light, and all that stuff, multiplying to make the image darker or appear whatever mood you're going for. Once all that has been done and set, and you've added all the highlights and all the cosmetics that you wanted to add to make your artwork pop to look, extraordinary, then you can add those speech bubbles that I showed you how to make in the last example, and then you will be all done, and you can move on to whatever else you wanted to do. And finally, the quickest and easiest method, which is the just get the basic shape in there method. Once you've got your flats, you just go basic. This is the quickest. It takes 10 minutes. You just get the basic gist of where's the dark side, where's the light side, put some gradients in there to make it fancy, and yeah, you just go quickly. That's pretty much the method, just quickly. And for the skin, I went a little bit detailed, but, just quick. Get the nose, get the bangs, get the neck, get blushies in there, and then the eyeballs. You just do the same method because I can't go quickly on the eyeballs. I have to do the exact same method because I want them to be shiny, but it still doesn't take that long. Add the gradients to get shiny, and then we are pretty much done. Now we can add to the atmospheric lighting with the leaves, and then the extra, sparkles, whatever, sparkles, gradients, atmosphere, all that jazz, and speech bubbles, and done. So those are my 3 quick and easy ways of coloring your webtoon or webcomic to make them look polished and sparkly while also not spending a whole bunch of time on it. The last one is arguably the fastest and easiest, being it took me only 10 minutes to do, but you can do whichever of these methods you like more. Like, you could try the first method and it doesn't take you as long as it took me, because it took 30 minutes for the first 2 and then 10 minutes for the last one. But, it's up to you. Try all 3 of these methods, see which one works the best for you, and, try that one. There's no wrong answer. Just do whatever you like doing. Those are 3 examples that I like to do. And yeah, I hope this video was helpful and you like it. If you did, you could, push the like button everybody keeps talking about and all that stuff. And hopefully I'll be able to make that other video very, very soon. I still have a lot of drawing in that video because I was like, it's going to be about comics, so I'm going to have like 50,000 images I need to draw. That'll be fun. It's not going to take me 10 years to do. It's going to take me quite a while to do. I still have to draw a whole bunch of stuff. But there's beaver monsters, and there's going to be 2 voice-acted comics, so it's going to be really cool. So yeah, if you made it this far, I guess, comment down below something like, comment down below if you have a webtoon and what it's called, and then everybody can just look through the comments and, check out any webtoons that they feel like they want to talk about. Mine's going to be in the description, as usual, so, you can check that out. But also, if you want to comment your webtoon, I'm okay with that. I don't mind. I'll look at them too. So yeah, do that, and I'll see you next time whenever I make that other video. So yeah, bye.